Welcome back, it's me, Lou, and I'm here for another action figure unboxing and review, and today is going to be a special double feature. We are taking a look at the Marvel Legends supervillains subline, and I have here on the left the Red Skull, and on the right we have Arcade. So, these are two of the most infamous villains in the Marvel Universe, and let's check them out. So, which one do we do first? Let's start out with Red Skull. Alright, so what we have here is we have the Red Skull, and it's a very comic book inspired take on the character. The character is beautifully framed in the packaging, and as you can see, you get lots of accessories with this guy. You get the Build-A-Figure piece, which is Xemnu's head. You have an alternate portrait of the Red Skull. You have the Cosmic Cube. You have his Hydra Blaster, and you have multiple hands. Awesome. On the side of the spine, we have some character artwork of the Red Skull with the Cosmic Cube. On the back, emerging from the ashes of World War II, Johann Schmidt rose to become one of Captain America's greatest enemies, the Red Skull. And on the bottom, we see the additional figures in the wave. We have Dr. Doom, Dormammu, the Hood, Lady Deathstrike, Arcade, Red Skull, and the AIM Scientist Supreme. So out of these figures, I've reviewed Doom, I reviewed Deathstrike, Scientist Supreme, and I'm going to review Arcade and Red Skull. And here's the completed Build-A-Figure Xemnu. So let's move on to the actual Red Skull himself and check him out. Alright, first impressions while the figure's still in his plastic tray. He's cool. I'll leave it at that. This was a figure that when I saw it, I was kind of hesitant on getting him just because I already have a Red Skull. I have two. I have the one that came, I think it was like a Hydra 2-pack or 3-pack. And I have the Red Skull, what is it, like the Iron Skull where he's like in the black Iron Man armor. And for me, those are pretty cool, and I don't know, I didn't feel the need to get this initially, but I like mulled it over when I was at the store, and I'm like, I've only run into this guy once, and chances are I might not run into him again, and it's a comic book inspired Red Skull. I have a couple of comic book inspired Captain Americas. I'm like, I need to get this, so I caved in, I got it, and right now I don't regret it. I'm looking at him, and he looks really cool. Okay, let's take out some of these accessories. Here's the Xemnu head. It's pretty neat. I'm not in a big hurry to complete the set just to make this guy. I don't know. Now, for Red Skull, this is a very, I don't know, it's a very generic look of the character. He feels generic also. He looks generic, he feels generic. It seems like if it wasn't for this red neck here, he could easily swap out the head and just turn this into like a random Hydra soldier or something. But I mean, it is what it is. It's Red Skull, comic book Red Skull. So my camera, the shade of red that you get in person versus on camera, like on camera I'm looking at right now, looks a little bit more orange red. Whereas in person, it's almost like a weird red, neon, pink kind of deal. But he has like the bluest, dreamiest eyes. So don't stare at his eyes too long because you might fall in love with them. I really can't stand this costume. This is like Red Skull on his like lazy day where he just wants to throw on sweatpants and a sweatshirt. It's a must get, I think, if you're a Captain America fan and you need a Red Skull figure and you don't have the previous Red Skulls. But if you have the previous Red Skull figures and you're happy with those, I don't think the need to get this is that great unless you're really married to the comic book version of the Red Skull. But even so, this one's kind of just like, ugh, it's kind of just there. It doesn't do a whole lot for me. I mean, you can tell he's a bad guy because he has the, you know, the I don't know, the badge on one side of his shoulder, and for some reason my Red Skull, he's kind of gross. He's covered in like all these fuzzy. I'm not sure if the camera's catching it, but there's like all this fuzz on him, which is disgusting. I don't know why he has fuzz on him. And the paint job on this is kind of horrible too. As you can see, the paint here is kind of sloppy, and it's even on his forearm. He has these neon lime green hands, which looks kind of weird. It looks like maybe like stuck his hand in acid or ate something funny and his skin got discolored. I'm glad I got it, but at the same time, it's kind of underwhelming. But I do like the fact that he has a lot of accessories, so I'm kind of torn. I want to say I think his alternate head is the head we've gotten in the past. This might be like the MCU Red Skull head, or I don't know, the other ones. I like this head better. Alright. Yeah, that looks a little bit better. This one's cool, but I don't like how he's gritting his teeth and it's like snarling at you. Looks more comedic than like scary. But he has those dreamy blue eyes. Alright, this is something I'm gonna lose. I'm gonna like blink and then this thing will like fall and I'll lose it forever. It's the Cosmic Cube. You don't want to lose that. The one thing that really sold me on this figure, I'm sure we've gotten this before, but it looks neat with the Hydra logo stamped on it, is his sidearm. It looks awesome. Except I kind of believe that every main villain should for some reason have like a golden pistol. Like kind of like in James Bond, like the man with the golden gun. And I think like one of the Destro figures from G.I. Joe even has like a gold gun. But this looks sick. It's awesome. It really fits the character. That's the one thing I like about you know, certain superheroes and villains, that, you know, some of them might have a weapon that it feels like it's made especially for them. Like, you know, Cap has his shield, Thor has Mjolnir, and this, you know, Han Solo has his trademark blaster, and this thing looks like if Red Skull's going to carry around a sidearm, this looks like the kind of thing he's going to hold. I'm not sure if it's comic book accurate, but it looks badass. And he comes with a variety of hands. So you have he has in addition 4 hands. 2 of the hands are made to like hold the Cosmic Cube. So you can easily place the cube in the hand like this. So he's like holding it. And I believe that you do it with, yeah, he has 2 hands, a left hand and a right hand. And it's kind of cool. So if you want to make him look like he's holding the Cosmic Cube, go for it. And he has 2 fists. Because, you know, if he wants to, like, I don't know, fight old school style and trade blows with Captain America, you know, he can go to town with these fists. Sculpt-wise, the head, I mean, as much as I detest this look, it's sculpted really nice. The skulls, all the details are there. The details are kind of crisp. The paint application on the teeth, especially on the one I got, it's clean. So just be on the lookout. You know, you don't want to get one with the gritty teeth, but then the white's kind of all over the face. So be like me and sit in the store for like 10 minutes just staring at multiple figures, trying to figure out which one has the better paint job. And, you know, they're not going to think you're crazy on the security camera. Alright. Now, I don't know if this is an older body that we've gotten in the past, because there's something about it that feels very generic. So he has his neck's a separate piece, and then it's on a ball joint. He can look up and down, rotates. His arms rotate, bicep swivel, double jointed elbows. The gun wielding hand, it's articulated to go up or down. And that goes for both of them. it's, you know, it's weird. So they give you uh, two gun holding hands, but they only give you one sidearm. It would have been cool if they gave us two of these actually. Ab crunch, rotates at the waist. He has a very flat ass. Thigh cut, his legs kick out. Boot cut, ankle, double jointed knees. It's everything you expect from Marvel Legends. It's just that, you know, he's very plain looking. He's very generic. This isn't the kind of like Red Skull where he's like masterminding and he looks cool like in the trench coat or in a suit. This kind of just looks like Red Skull like in his, you know, sweatpants and sweatshirt. It's like, I don't know, casual Friday for him. You know, he's walking around the Hydra base, you know, just looking like this. If I had to rate this guy numerically, first thought, 6.5 to a 7. You need him because he's the Red Skull, but at the same time, the costume choice is kind of blah. I'm guessing they could have probably found a better comic book look for him. But it's alright. I'm kind of wishing, though, that what they would have done with this figure is that instead of painting this neck red, that they would have just left it either all green or paint this red part black. Just so that they could have provided you with a different head, or if you have any of those extra Hydra heads, you could have done a head swap and just create a very generic Hydra soldier. So I think that's where they kind of fall a little bit short. It seems like this figure, for as generic as it looks, it could have been very versatile. And, you know, they could have you could either play it off as the Red Skull or with a head swap or swap out the hands. You could have either easily made like a Hydra trooper or like just some random Hydra guy. But he's worth buying. He's not my favorite figure from this wave. I think Doctor Doom and Lady Deathstrike definitely, you know, are my favorites from the supervillains subline. But he's a must-get just because if you have Cap and you love Captain America, you need the Red Skull. And I think that kind of goes without saying. So, let me put these away so I don't lose them. And up next, we have Arcade. Marvel's Arcade. So, this is a very fancy looking boy. I was kind of sold on this figure. Like, when I saw this guy in the store, not that Arcade's one of my favorite villains, but I love that they gave us the alternate head, which is kind of the more modern, hipper look for Arcade. He has his staff, and you get to build the figure apart. And I partially got him too, just because I think I like the Arcade in the white suit, and I think he just looks funny. And I can just imagine myself doing different head swaps, like either putting like a Tony Stark head or like a Wolverine head, and you know, he kind of has that funny bow tie. So I don't know. For me, it's just the body alone is worth the price of admission, just because you can do so many funny things with it. That sounds almost perverted. So we have some character artwork here on the side. I think I said this before. I really wish I knew who did the artwork for this. Part of me wants to say maybe Chris Sprouse, but I might be wrong. So if you know who the artist is who provided the artwork for this supervillains subline, let me know. And here we go. We have a full character artwork. In his description, a brilliant assassin with shadowy origins, Arcade makes up for his lack of physical strength with a keen intellect and a vast personal fortune. So the last time I saw Arcade in the comic books was recently. It was in the X-Men comics. It was in Hellions. So in the most recent storyline I was reading in Hellions, Arcade, he kidnapped Mastermind's daughter, and he kidnapped Mr. Sinister, the fun-loving Mr. Sinister that we all love right now. And he wanted to use Sinister because I guess he wanted to use Sinister's cloning technology for something. But prior to that X-Men story, I remember Arcade being in this one comic book miniseries. It was years ago. It was called, I think, Avengers Arena, and it was Marvel's take on like the Hunger Games and the Japanese story Battle Royale. And Arcade, he kidnapped a bunch of the young adult, teenage Marvel superheroes, and they were on an island, and they had to go through all these different tests and challenges, and they're being killed off like in Battle Royale, and it's kind of cool actually. I was kind of surprised. I enjoyed it a little bit more than I thought I would. And that iteration of arcade that we saw in Avengers Arena, which took place in Murder World, actually looked more like the hipper, long-haired arcade. And that's one of the reasons why I got excited about this head, because I'm like, oh, that's the modern arcade. I like that. So first impressions of this figure in the plastic tray. It's fun. It's wild. He has like platform shoes. And everything about this figure, I'm just really drawn to it. It's like I said, I think this is a fun figure to have, especially if you just like start swapping heads with some of the different characters you have, because I think it can make for some fun fig photography. I love this alternate portrait with the long-haired arcade. It looks really cool. It makes me wish I had a second one just so I could recolor the hair to make it a different character. This staff is nice. For some reason, I want to say I think we've gotten this before with another figure. The Build-A-Figure part. And we have arcade. Oh, real quick before I forget, we got to come back and revisit Red Skull, just because I forgot I had some other Red Skull figures I wanted to compare him to. So in a little bit, we'll come back and we'll revisit Red Skull, and we'll take a look at these other ones. So I just got to remember that. But back to arcade. This figure doesn't disappoint. I'm really sold on it. I love the platform shoes a lot. I kind of want another one of these figures just to mess around with. Man, this is cool. So, I mean, he's in a suit, and it's kind of generic, but at the same time, he has the polka dot bow tie. He has the arcade haircut, and he kind of has that grimace on his face, like he's up to no good. Everything about this figure, I mean, for me, it screams perfection. It's arcade. It's not like they took the character and some artist or designer was like, you know what, I'm going to reinvent the character and make him look hip and cool, and put him in a leather jacket and just do weird stuff. This is essentially comic book arcade, and it looks awesome. The colors are there, and he's so white, the suit, that I'm worried of like getting it dirty. Like, I want to make sure that my hands are clean. Like, I don't want to leave like any weird fingerprints on them or anything. And I do worry about a figure like this being as white as it is, because like over the the course of time, will this white discolor and turn yellow, or does this get marred up? Does it get scuffed easily? But it's beautiful, wonderful, wonderful figure. Head's articulated. You can look up and look down. It's on a ball joint. Rotate the arms, bicep swivel, double jointed elbows, waist swivel. I think there's an ab crunch. Can't really tell. Thigh cut, double jointed knees. It's everything you expect. Sculpting wise, the face is beautiful. Look at that smile. He has blue eyes also, so don't stare at him too long or you're going to fall in love with him. And I want to see... Yeah, this is the arcade I want in my collection. I want a little bit more modern take with a longer hair. I kind of hate villains like Arcade. He kind of falls into that same realm as like the Riddler. Like I never buy into the fact that a guy, just because a guy's smarter, he's gonna like outdo everybody. Like I'm kind of falling to that category where I think might makes right, and I think jocks should rule the world, not nerds. And just because this guy's smart, he can get away with all sorts of crazy stuff. But I don't know. All it takes is a good solid punch to the jaw, and you can knock the guy out. But this guy could like hack into your credit cards and steal your identity, and ruin your family and steal your home. But at the same time, he could like drop like an anvil on your head because he's clever and smart, and he knows all sorts of ways to murder you and kill you. It's a cool action figure. I want to give this guy a 9. Just because it's what he's supposed to be. It's arcade. He looks like arcade. Alternate cool head. It's very simplistic, straight to the point. You're not getting more or less with this dude. You're just getting what you paid for, and that's a very, very cool Marvel villain. And I think, yeah, you really need it. If you have like a collection of just Marvel villains, if you have Doctor Doom, if you have the Goblins, if you have Red Skull, you definitely need this guy. He's one of the more memorable, one of the more iconic Marvel supervillains, and he looks like he's ready to go to like a Broadway show. It's awesome. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, we need to get back to Red Skull. I forgot that I had these figures with me. So this figure here, I believe, came like in a Hydra. Was it a 2-pack or 3-pack, or was it a solo figure? I'm so confused. I think this figure might have been a solo figure. It might have been the Marvel 80th anniversary, but I think he came with like so many different options. So you could like either swap out his head to make a Hydra trooper, or you could like swap out his head to make MCU Red Skull. Give me a second. I'm kind of curious here. So let's try. See if this will fit. And this head's a little too big on this body. But if you want, I mean, you could kind of say this. I mean, if you only have one Red Skull figure and you just have this one, I think this is okay. Even though this one's lined up more for the MCU, if you want to fudge it into your comic book collection of Marvel Legends figures, go ahead. I don't think it's a sin. It's a nice sculpt. I believe this figure was called Iron Skull. I bought this secondhand, so I was missing all the accessories. It's Red Skull essentially when he steals Tony Stark's armor, and he's wearing the Iron Man armor. And I added this kind of like scarf cape deal. It's from a Star Wars Black series. I want to say Kylo Ren. He looked naked without something going on, because it just looked so bare, you know. It's Red Skull, but like in black armor, and it's Iron Man's armor, but it seemed like he needed a little bit more oomph, a little bit more. And I'm like, you know what? Kylo Ren has that friggin' scarf. Let's just give him the scarf. And it's a tattered scarf, so it looks like it kind of makes him look a little bit more regal, but at the same time, since it's kind of worn and battle damaged, kind of looks like he's been in the trenches. And I thought it was a cool look for him. And then we come along to this, you know, happy-go-lucky Red Skull. I don't know. And there's another Red Skull Marvel Legends. I think it's the same one as the Nick Fury body, but it has the Red Skull head on it. But I don't got that one yet. I might get it down the road. I don't know. There's not a whole lot to say about these right now. So let's wrap this up. Do I recommend these? Yes. Arcade, I think, is a must-get. You need to fill out your villains, especially in the comic book side. And the fact that he comes with platform shoes is awesome. So you do need this figure. This guy's kind of a mixed bag. If you have a Red Skull that you're happy with, I don't think you necessarily need him. But it's not a bad thing to have. Especially if you have like a comic book Captain America. So, I don't know, not much else to say beyond that. So, my name is Lou. Once again, thank you so much for coming by and checking out this video. I greatly appreciate it. It means a lot to me that you invest some time to check out my videos. I know they're not the cleverest videos. They're not the most. They're not even really edited. I just kind of like this spit right here because I was drinking water. I don't know. I'm just rambling. It's hot and humid outside, and I have nothing else going on today outside of this. So come by and visit me anytime. I'm lonely. I'll talk to you later. See ya.